How free to say.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of the new podcast. If you're listening now for the first time, make sure you check out the first two episodes. Some great chats with some brilliant people. Now, without further ado, let me introduce my guest for this episode, the absolute simdawg himself, David Brent's adopted son, and the man who's better at set pieces than David Beckham, my good mate Leo. Leo, welcome.
So, thanks for having me on, mate. I'm buzzing.
Yeah, how do you feel about that introduction?
I'm happy with, I'd say, 90% of it. I'd say it's all factually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I would give it a 9 out of 10. I'm pretty happy with it, mate.
9 out of 10.
The set pieces thing was not expected, and to be honest, I'm buzzing inside.
I thought that made you quite chuffed.
I'm absolutely over the moon, to be honest with you. Yeah.
What do you say you're best at? Free kicks, penalties, corners.
Pens, mate. I mean, everyone could say they're good at pens, but
yeah, not hard skill, but whatever.
I mean, free kicks used to be more of my forte as a youngster. But yeah, you are not saving a Leo penalty, unfortunately.
Straight in the back of the net. It feels like ages ago since I last saw you or even spoke to you.
So, when was it?
I think it was when you came round to see my dog.
Yeah, and that was before travelling quite.
Yeah, before you went away.
Quite a while before I went away. Yeah, and I left on January the 20th, and I reckon it must have been early January, late December. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's one of those. It's one of those where some people you don't see them for ages, and it's like, oh, a bit like, oh god, bit of a drag trying to sort of make some sort of conversation about things.
Yeah.
You just sort of feel like you're basically just telling each other what you've been up to, and that's it. But to be fair, it's never been like that. Because this is probably the longest we've gone without seeing each other in
the flesh.
That's part of 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Sad times.
Mental.
Yeah, you've been a busy bee though. Travelling and everything.
I've been quite busy. Yeah, I've been quite busy. I came back probably. I was forced back probably. Best part of a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Which feels odd.
With COVID.
And again, I'm not going to complain about this, especially on your podcast. It didn't make it out there at all.
Yeah.
But we won't go into that.
We'll try and leave that, in the past.
I'm going to stay away from that subject as much as possible.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject.
I'm a very lucky man. I'm that's my attitude.
Yeah, it's a good attitude to have, actually. Stay
positive.
But I'm
sort of it's a bit forced, to be honest with you, but I'm forcing myself to do so. Yeah. But yeah, it's all you can do at the minute, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's weird, because whenever you come round, I'm not going to lie, my parents always think you're the best person they've ever met.
Wow.
Out of all my friends,
Stop it.
You've given the best impression to my parents.
I love both your parents. I think they're lovely. They're really nice people.
Right.
And also immediately, like, I'll walk in, having not seen them for a couple of months or whatever, probably more than that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, right, Leo, make yourself at home type thing. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Hi there. Yeah, no, it's very nice. Your brother doesn't give me quite the same reception. But
I don't think my brother says hello to any of my friends, so don't worry about
that.
No,
he's a good boy. He's a good boy. He's just
boy.
He's a quiet one.
Reserved.
He is a reserved character. That is the right word.
What are your tips then for having a good impression with parents?
Having a good impression on parents. I always think it's very easy to get when you're meeting someone's parents or like a girlfriend's parents or something like that. It's very easy to just sort of say yeah and no and be like just polite. I sort of feel like if you're in their house, like I don't know, make a little bit more conversational effort. Do you know what I mean?
It's funny you say that because I feel, especially with the girlfriends I've had, I sometimes find I start bullying them in front of their parents.
Do you know what? I've done that as well.
If you know what I mean?
I've done that, yeah, I have done that. I've also done that in front of my parents, to sort of dig people out in front of my parents. It's a bit of a weird trait, that really.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
But I think what it is that sometimes when you're meeting a new set of parents and you're around there, it's like it's not a massive deal, but like it's obviously the elephant in the room that you are there, and people are going to moderate their behaviour based on
100%.
that. And so it's like I don't know, it can be. I think ask directly to the parents. So like I feel like a lot of people speak to the parents through through their kids, if that makes sense. You'll say, did I say about this? Ask about this. No, I feel like you should probably just make some direct conversation with, with the parents. You're in their house, to be fair. I don't know. I think it's rare that you go to someone's house and you know nothing about their family. So, for example, I know that, your dad's a Bournemouth fan. I can talk to him about that. Mm-hmm. It's not like I'm going in there like scared of not talking to them. But
I sort of know the person you're going to. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I like to make some sort of effort with the parents for sure. And parents can actually be all right. It's not you're not just doing it.
They're not just boomers. They can be.
Believe it or not, they can actually be quite sound, quite funny.
Have you ever had like a bad experience when you go around and it's just not worked?
Yeah. I've had times. I think mostly in the last sort of few years, probably, and it's not necessarily like I've gone around and I've got into a blazing row with the parents or anything.
Yeah.
But it definitely I've been around and I've felt that not personally me, but I felt that they don't want other kids in their house really. This is like an inconvenience. And I don't know. I think that's more sort of, and it's very rare that that's happened, but I've experienced that. I think it's more on them than it is on you really, if that's their outlook on it, And I think it does sort of, it reflects on their kids a lot of the time.
Yeah, I definitely. Parents, nurturing your kids. You can tell where your friend gets their traits from.
Oh,
so much through their parents.
So easily. I do that a lot as well. I do sort of think, right, which parent is more like?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Child? Yeah. Similarities. Who's got the more?
Well, exactly. If you know how to talk to their child, then you're most likely going to know how to approach them. And yeah, some parents will just sort of leave you to it. Some of them will want conversation, but it is. I would say particularly if it's a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
That is more important. That impression is more important,
especially if it's a long-term thing.
I mean, you think about how much time you spent around at other people's houses since you were like 11 or 12. It's a lot of time, and if you're going to spend that much time somewhere, you might as well get on with their parents.
Yeah, because with you as well, you've obviously got that close-knit group of people, and
I do have a close-knit group. Yeah.
Yeah, and all your mums have sort of become friends, which is quite funny.
Well, it's interesting because I have a large group of close friends, but a lot of them I've known since I was probably, I don't know. Well, I've known Liam since I was 2 or 3 in nursery. Max Lang I've known for years and years and years. Josh Clark, Paddy Barley, loads of people, and it's I knew their parents before I knew anyone from my secondary school, pretty much.
Yeah, because don't they have a Facebook group or something? WhatsApp group?
Do you know what the mums do have? The mums do have a group chat, and I tell you what, it's quite lethal actually. It's not so much now that we can sort of we're legally adults and we can do what we want.
Yeah.
But when we were a bit younger, it's
been terrifying.
If you were maybe up to no good or you got yourself in some trouble, it was a bit right, we need to make sure that none of the parents find out about this because it's going straight in the mum's group chat if it doesn't.
Yeah.
So if one goes down, we all go down, which is another reason why you've got to make a good impression on the old parents when you go around. Definitely.
So you've had that group of friends from even before Downs, which is scary to think about it.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, there are 3-4 people that I'm still close friends with that I've known since I was virtually a toddler.
But that group sort of cemented itself in.
Yeah.
Downs.
So in Downs, it was it was quite similar to a mirror and stream actually. It was a big group of people who all mixed in and were mates. But yeah, it wasn't necessarily that sort of the people that I knew in primary school completely transferred through to secondary school. That's not actually the case. It was more that I knew them all the way through secondary school, obviously, and I didn't feel like I was sort of completely distanced from them, if that makes sense. It's sort of a lot of the girls I was friends with in junior school, I'm friends with now, and we went to the same school. But then it's I didn't necessarily stick with them as a sort of close-knit group of mates, but because I knew them so well, it meant that when we did go to college and all that, we just sort of, I don't know, sort of grouped back together quite naturally.
Yeah, because obviously
nice.
At the end of primary school, you sort of separated in a way, because obviously Josh and Liam went off to Varndine,
Yeah, that was
and then
that.
you,
That,
Ray,
that
and the rest went to Stringer.
Yeah, and Max, yeah, and I would say that was probably Paddy as well. I would say it's probably the weirdest thing I've experienced in terms of because Josh, yes, definitely, we played football and stuff and dance together and all of that, and we were close mates. But I mean, especially Liam, it was really, really, really weird.
Must have been pretty gut-wrenching at the time.
It was a weird one though, because it was like it was him and another of our mates, Arthur, who was going together. And so I would have felt even more guilty if it was just him sort of going.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But to be honest with you, I think we made actually more effort to be mates, to be best mates.
Yeah, because obviously as soon as Basvik started, it was like the group came back together.
We both just sort of always knew that would happen.
Yeah.
Naturally, without actually saying
it. Faith in the relationship.
We had faith in the relationship. We knew it had legs.
Yeah.
It was going to go far. No, it's I'd say especially with the college environment, it just means that it's like everyone just totally changes their their group of mates and everything. But that's one thing that's quite nice, is that was in quite a sort of time of change. I did have some
the rock.
Yeah, it was nice. It was really good. Can't say that college was my favourite time of my life. But, but
I like the freedom of it. I didn't really like much
that.
else.
I like that, but the thing is, though, it's the freedom that gets me in trouble. So, because it's like
you felt more regimented, like you got a certain time of the day.
I don't necessarily prefer it, but I feel like sometimes I need it.
It works better for you, yeah.
It does, yeah, and
it's tough to say that's the case and realise what your faults are. And
I could have been a much more successful student. I could have been a much more successful student if I've had, I don't know, a Mr. Stone type character on my back. Yeah.
Scary guy.
Little name drop there.
Do you think
how's he got a mention, by the way?
How dare you mention him? I would have thought you'd have mentioned Debbie or someone, but then again, you want something less artsy and more.
More sort of with more substance behind it. Yeah, definitely.
Do you think it was football that also helped you kind of keep together with? Because obviously you played with Liam.
I'd say,
Josh.
yeah.
Did you play with Josh in year 11?
I played with Josh when I was. Yeah, year 11. No, maybe not year 11.
Hawks, or was that?
Yeah, I joined Hawks. I joined back at Hawks, I started Hawks when I was 7, and then I joined back. I think it was first year college, year 11 or first year college. Not as loyal as some, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, I definitely. Do you know what it is? It's like no matter what happens. Sometimes with some friends, you might not see them for a month. If you play football with them, or you do X with them, or you whatever, you do something that's regimented with them, you will see them twice a week, and you'll see them twice a week, and that helps so much, because it's it's if you're busy and you've both got different timetables and everything like that, makes it much easier to keep up with each other when you've got something that you're both there for every week without fail.
Yeah.
And also sometimes it's you can have too much of your mates, but if
definitely.
Oh, 100%. But I mean, because it's just twice a week, you'll consistently see them, and it's just the right amount when you're trying to balance exams and everything else.
Because it's always surprised me how smoothly they kind of fitted back in with it all.
Oh, mate.
Because obviously, when you go through 5 years of your life with a certain group of friends, you're gonna have little in-jokes, all and such,
Oh, mate. That's the thing. I had during secondary school. I had I'd say multiple separate groups of mates.
Yeah.
But then I don't think any of them would match up in terms of closeness to that group, because I literally known these people almost my entire life, or some of them, and I sort of see the argument that it's a bit that's a bit weird to only have, but it's I've not I made a conscious effort to not sort of make it a closed group, and I've as in we still have other mates outside, but
I definitely agree. That's the case. Personally, I felt welcomed in when I started.
Oh, mate, 100%. I think it's quite an easy sort of group of people to integrate with, definitely. Yeah. But also, I didn't forced myself to spend all my time with them during secondary school. I had other groups of mates. I'd go to parties that they didn't. Got absolutely destroyed for it at first, but yeah, it was it was so nice to just like because it is quite intense. It can be quite intense, and when
it's definitely not a forgiving place, secondary school. So if you,
I would not hold a grudge against anyone for being
obviously you're not holding a grudge, but
but yeah,
it's hard to let yourself out fully at that point because everyone's a bit on edge.
I specifically remember a time in secondary school where I thought, right, I'm just going to try and not give a fuck anymore. And sorry, am I allowed to swear on it?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Right, no worries. I'm not going to scream it out, but yeah, I remember thinking at probably about 14, 15, it's like, I quite like having other mates as well. It's quite nice. And different mates that just don't have the same interests. It's very freeing and just nice. And I think that's something that I'm grateful for that I made that decision because I love my mates to pieces and I loved my other mates that I was mates with in secondary school. But it was nice to sort of branch out and be more of an adult, really. Yeah, definitely. I think that was quite a sort of significant time for me.
Would you say your group has adapted further as well, or like kind of changed a lot?
100%. I mean, there's our little group of boys, then there's the other group of girls that were
that was what I was going to say. The addition of the girls,
super close with them.
Yeah,
I mean, like
crazy.
But then again, a lot of them I've been friends with since I was very small.
So it all
very
comes back to Downs.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've probably known Evie longer than I've known, well, most people I'm still friends with, and most people I still know. And yeah, it's like I know I can rely on them all because I've known them so long, and I know that they're really close mates. But also, again, they have their other mates, and that's quite nice, really. And that was particularly nice in college. You can integrate like a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, when you get like a big group, and it just means one, you've got more houses that are going to be free.
Oh mate, that is one of the most crucial things. I mean,
every group needs like a sesh house.
A free house at 17 years old is. I mean, wow! Like at 18, it does sort of change. But I was 18 before almost everybody.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of months where there was only a few people. Yeah, I'm not going to complain about that. But there was definitely a couple of people that I was able to go to the pub with, able to go out with, whatever. But it wasn't until everyone was allowed out. I remember at Christmas in A1, it was we just split off. Was it A1 or A2?
Was that when everyone went spoons?
Everyone went spoons and then patterns, and it was one of the best nights ever because it was just like the first night for me where I'd seen everyone. It was like the whole town was out in force.
Yeah.
That was a really cool night. That's one of my like. Do you know how you can like a certain nights or certain days or moments or whatever, like sort of in your head define a whole era of like your life?
that defines that era of your life.
Defines an era, mate. It really does. Yeah, it's all happened quite naturally, really. The people I've sort of stayed in contact with and stayed friends with, and yeah, I'm very lucky the way it's turned out. I've got to say, it is nice. I see some groups of boys, and it's like they will be in their group of mates, and then they'll go out to see girls. It's quite nice just having sort of two sides of a group, but not completely sort of.
Definitely with the girls and the boys of your group. Obviously, you see each other separately.
It's just nice, isn't it?
It meant like well together quite well. It was.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well. Like it just adds a sort of nicer dynamic to just an average night out.
Yeah.
And when summer is so good when you've got a big group of mates. And I mean, as well, like how good summer is for us and our mates. Like especially now that we're 18, but also even before. Mate, don't. I was literally. In fact, whilst we were paused, I was literally just talking in the group chat about summer 2018 and summer 2017.
See that? Yeah.
Just the best summers ever.
Summers really. Once you've hit year 11, just get so good, don't they?
Oh mate, and that's why I was thinking earlier, I was saying to my mum, I do genuinely feel for the year 11s this summer. I mean, if you think, mate, if you think right now. No dance show, no play, no Leavers Day. No, they're going to have some sort of prom apparently, but it's going to be a bit shit, isn't it? Really,
how are they meant to like talk to each other 2 meters away?
I don't know. I think they're waiting until it's like much later, and then they're having like a sort of reunion type thing, which for me isn't the same.
Well, I've already noticed people start going, like more people going to work now. Because I was cycling the other day and there were so many more cars on the roads and stuff.
Well, I mean, there's fewer cars on my road, which is obviously like, you know, people are just not in. It's getting easier, and to be honest with you, mate, I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a bit rubbish, this whole thing, but I do see some positives in it.
100%. Yeah.
I really do. Like I don't know.
I think I'm
being much more reflective.
There was like a poll I saw, and it said I think around 60-70% of people they don't want everything to change. They want to keep some things, but they'd be like.
I mean, it's not feasible to keep it all.
Yeah.
But I have noticed myself being much more. I thought I was going to be really frustrated, really sort of like, you know, angsty. I've not been that bad.
Well, it's definitely like allowed time for you to work on yourself. If that makes sense.
And I think as well, like, you know, if I'd have come straight off the back of A levels into this, I'd probably be a bit pent up and a bit aggressive and a bit just sort of not right. But I think because, you know, we've had a pretty free 6 or 7 months before this, that I do feel relatively rested and at peace with it, really.
I'd say that's my only regret is I would have at least liked to get like 2 months of travelling.
Mate, and that's why I'm trying not to be negative about it, because I am so jammy that I got that in. Yes, I mean, there's obviously two ways looking at it. I'm usually a massive pessimist, as you know. But
I was going to say.
But yeah, I've actually been pretty positive about that. I know that I'm going to go back out there. I know that I'm going to do everything I was going to do, just much later.
What are your plans for uni then next year? What are you thinking?
We're up in Manchester, mate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I saw what they said about the first semester.
Oh mate, yeah. I mean, it's all up in the air. It's going to be the weirdest start to a uni course ever.
100%.
I mean, we're going to be.
I've got hope for it though. I'm quietly like a bit hopeful for it.
That's the thing, mate, and that's one of the things I've been sort of reflecting on. This is like, what is the point in being sort of like nervous about it?
Negative.
Like, what is the so no point? Like, where does it get us?
Because you can't control it, but
what's the point?
We've got 4 or 5 months till the start of uni.
Yeah.
Which
if it means starting a month late or starting online or whatever, just go with the flow. I mean, the way I'm looking at it is, at the end of uni, am I really going to be looking back at my time in uni and thinking, "Oh God, I wish I'd had a normal start"?
Yeah.
Not really. And if I do, then I've not fulfilled my time there, have I?
100%.
It's going to be a drop in the ocean as far as, you know. Everyone's in the same boat.
We do like friendship.
That was 2 ocean references right there. That was pretty impressive.
Oh, I'll make sure to congratulate you.
Yeah, keep them in, mate.
Yeah, I will. I was going to say, with uni coming up, you think your group's going to split away once again, or is it always just going to remain?
Of course, it's going to be like different. It just is when people go to university. But you know, it's like we're all going to be coming back to the same place. We're all going to be, you know. It's very easy to keep in contact with people.
Yeah,
it just is.
Especially now.
If you try, and like that's the thing, the amount of people that I've sort of lost contact with because I haven't really made the effort. I think, oh, that's a shame. But then again, there's probably a reason why you don't make the effort with some people.
So I don't know if this was the case with you, but my parents always say their best friends were made through uni.
Mate, yeah.
Whereas now I think our best friends are sort of made it earlier.
Well, to be fair, I say that. My dad didn't actually complete his course at university, but he did make a lot of good mates there.
Yeah.
But it's more just like they both said that they made their best sort of mates outside of school. It was sort of in their early 20s and that sort of period where everyone's in the same boat. It's all a bit because at that age
I'm interested to see if that's going to be the same for our generation, or because we have like social media, we can keep in contact.
Yeah.
Is it just going to be?
"Oh, we're just going to settle and just be like, oh, these will do. We'll keep these for the next 50, 60 years."
You know.
Yeah,
Could have found
exactly.
better, but whatever.
Yeah,
Too lazy now.
I sort of think that, you know, because you're in contact with your mates, you'll always have them as a point of reference as like, right, how does this person line up to the people that I know are my mates? Like, and I quite like that, you know. And it's obviously you're going to grow apart from some of your mates, so it's just natural. But shouldn't worry about that, because if you grow apart, then you grow apart for a reason. Whatever. Go with the flow, mate. What a chilled out person I am in quarantine. Eh?
What's happened? I want stressed exam Leo right now. What's going on?
Yeah, but to be fair, stressed exam Leo isn't actually that stressed, and that's a bit of a problem.
Was that part of the issue?
Bit too relaxed, mate. I mean, don't get me wrong. I got what I need, but you know, that was never part of my my character around exam season.
Some people get really stressed about it.
Some people get way too stressed, mate, and you know, yeah, and I just sort of think it's not really all in your hands anyway. So, you know,
true. With the girls, because when they joined the group, it was start of college.
Yeah.
And then, I'm just going to say how I see it. It sort of became quite incestuous. You catch my drift?
Yeah, I catch your drift.
You're thinking now we've got...
Not for me personally.
Yeah.
We've got, I'd say, how many? We've got 3 or 4. 3... Yeah, 3.
Is that inevitable when a group of boys come into contact with a group of girls? Because I've seen it in loads of other groups. Like,
it's fully inevitable at that age that someone's going to go down. It's not just going to be like, you know, it's not going to be like a sort of. Do you remember at like junior school you had like assemblies?
Yeah.
And you just try so hard to sit next to your mates, which would mean it was like quite often just half boys, half girls. It's not like that. It's never going to be like that.
It's not going to be back in those days when girls were frowned upon.
No, yeah, and so it happens, and it's nice, and it genuinely is so nice to see, because
I don't know.
It's just sort of the weirdest thing is when you just hear about it for the first time and everyone else knows about it, and you're like, what? Like,
do you ever feel like you're sort of the parent, like you're seeing your 2 kids, or like I don't know? It
is a little bit of a proud moment.
Yeah, like
it's a little bit of a proud
moment.
By it. I won't mention any names because I know that they might not want it to be on.
Yeah, fair enough.
But one thing did happen whilst we were away, me, Liam, and Max, and it was like, oh my god, because we weren't there to see it. We weren't there to see it blossom and everything, and we were like, what? Like, you know, that is amazing. Like, that's mind blowing.
And obviously, as a good mate, you're going to wingman as well, aren't you?
Oh, mate, your wings are fully stretched out. You know, arms wide. Yeah.
So, I think we've talked a bit about your kind of football passion. I'd say most people know you for. Well, no, that's a part of your personality.
It's an aspect.
Personality, but
I'll tell you
what,
for probably the first 12, maybe 13 years of my life, I'd say it was about 90% of my personality. A very, very little else going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I look back at like primary school and infant school and being a kid, and almost all my memories are just like through football and through sport and just through being super active and being involved in competition all the time.
I think that's one of the best ways to meet people or be friends. Like do these activities.
Genuinely, it's like I would turn up at. Do you remember? Because Balfour and Downs had different days. This is a really good memory, actually. This is like very in depth. There was the open days for people that had got a place at school, at high school, at secondary school, and
I used to love those.
Mate,
I think me and you were one of the people who did it like every year, pretty much.
Oh, mate, yeah, you'd volunteer for the thing just because it was like as soon as you'd done that, a teacher would just love you.
But that sort of comes from your getting parents to like you. We're both quite good at getting teachers to like us as well.
Yeah, I mean you're the same, mate. You've got the same gift of
the gift.
I think it's bum licking at just the right time.
Definitely.
So time it to perfection.
Yeah. You can't bum lick too much. There's a fine line.
No, because then you're just a bum licker by nature. But I'd say no. I walked into that open day and I was looking around, and I knew a lot of people there, even though it was only like a few from my primary school. And the reason was, it was like I'd seen probably 10, 15 people that I'd either played football with or against, or I'd competed with, or something like that. And it's just so good for kids socially, like it is. I mean, as long as they want to be doing something like that, it's really good for them. It's also things like, I was, I'd say my classroom behaviour in secondary school was patchy, probably.
It always depends on the teacher and the subject.
And the same, every parents' union went the same. It was, the teachers were quite like me, but I would just talk too much and it would piss them off. And I look back now and I think, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's true.
100% fair enough. But that was partially because I wouldn't really go into a classroom where I wouldn't know anyone. There was always someone I knew. And if there wasn't, I'd know someone through football or sports or whatever.
I think one of those classes which I had with you, which was probably my most enjoyable with you, definitely, was history. Yeah. History was year 10 and 11 history was.
Year 10 and 11 history was almost like sort of herding sheep. Like it was.
I felt so bad for Panton.
No,
Panton. So bad.
No, genuinely, I do. And I pass him in the street now. I just think, oh, you poor bloke. Like, such a good teacher, really nice man.
I remember we tried so hard. Like some lessons, we were like, guys, we're going to try and be as good as we can, and we just couldn't do it. There was just something about the class where we had.
And because he liked us as people, I think.
Definitely.
And so he'd entertain it, but then. Once we'd seen that he'd entertain it, we go, all right, now we can really run with this, and we can just sort of piss about for the whole lesson.
A bit too far.
I have no idea how we got good grades in history, because I did
absolutely
so little concentrating in that lesson. But then again, it's like, do I regret it? No, I don't, because I look back at secondary school and I think those memories are the ones that I'll keep by far the most of. And again, it's like, there was probably 7 or 8 particularly boys in that class that were from slightly different groups of mates.
Yeah,
you could argue, but mate, it was like total became our own little group in itself. Which is one thing I like about String, is that there's a lot of crossing over of sort of.
Yeah, and each class is sort of like
groups
a different
of people.
environment, if you know what I mean.
Oh, big time. You go into some classes and like it's heads down, and not necessarily like the top sets or anything, because some of the worst behaved kids I knew were top set.
Yeah.
I think back to English lessons. When I was in year 9, they trialled it was like a scheme where you trial like an all boys English class of like top set boys.
Oh my god, that is no.
But because it was like, they thought maybe if they're put in an environment where they can like be all boisterous and compete with each other over being, in inverted commas, high level
like
at that subject.
Idea to me.
I think it's. I mean. Yes and no. We had Miss Richards, which was unbelievable because she was just so good. But then it was like, if you started badly, the whole lesson was bad.
Yeah, it's weird how the first moments define the lesson.
Just run with it. Exactly. It's really, really like crucial. Maybe we should be secondary school teachers, mate.
I was thinking. I used to think I'd hate to be a teacher.
No, I've been considering exclusive interview. Sort of coverage.
I've been considering. Who's signing to? Let's hear it.
I've been considering potentially looking into the idea of secondary school teaching.
I think you'd love it, to be honest.
I think I'd love it some of the time. I think
obviously it can be hell as well.
The thing is, if someone's being horrible to me as a teacher, I can't really complain, because I was never horrible to teachers at all. But I was definitely I pushed the boundaries quite a bit.
Yeah.
I was never horrible. But definitely disruptive. And so, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's something to think about. I'm not serious about it yet, but, food for thought.
Good food. What were we talking about? We were talking about football, weren't we?
We were, yeah.
Obviously, you've got your little block of when you did have a season ticket. Liam, who was it? Was there 5 of you? Or?
So, there was the season ticket in our little bit was me, Liam, Paddy, Max, Rafe. It was all that. A lot of the dads would go as well. It was really good. It was some of the best. Well, I think I had an Albion season ticket from 11 till 18, probably 11 till 18, yeah. And just if the good thing about that was if you had nothing going on your weekend, at least you had football.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's like, you know, for years before, I'd be like, I'd sit in the whole weekend and not do anything really. But
you
at
you
least
had, like, the light at the end of
at
the
least you
tunnel,
could go. You could go to the ground. It's like there's something quite nice about a Saturday game where it's like, right, wake up after Friday. You've probably been at sleepover at your mate's house. Later on into our sort of rain, we're probably a bit hungover. You wake up, eat breakfast. If it's an away game, which is, mate, away games were just the best.
That's what I was going to say. Do you prefer away to home games?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, I think I definitely do.
No question. I mean, even if it's going up to Newcastle at 6 in the morning or wherever, and we've been everywhere. Like, I'm not just saying that. We've been everywhere, and it is the best days in my year. Like, it actually is. I miss it so much.
I feel like the atmosphere is so good for away days as well.
It's like, the atmosphere for any team is much better away.
Yeah,
but the contrast for us is huge, and it's like you sort of know people just from going to away games with them.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I've been genuinely like close to tears in sort of northern towns because our team's just been like had the season ruined or whatever. But there's times like that just make it so sweet when you go to like I don't know. I can think of so many examples, and yeah, it's just I think what it is before you're 18, the only really sort of adult thing to do as a bloke is go away to football. Like it's a very adult environment.
100%.
It's boisterous. It's fun. I'm not going to like there's obviously some people just ruin it by getting in fights and everything, dicks. But that's such a small minority. It's mostly just a trip up to a new part of the country. I don't know, a little poodle around the town, and then it's just sort of a bit of a laugh from there. Good memories of that, mate.
So you say you got good memories? Any of that like spring to mind?
Oh, some that spring to mind. Bristol City away. Liam being, we were probably 14, 15. Liam being started on by a drunken Bristol man who was, and I'm not joking, probably in his 70s. Liam's walking. We're walking down the street.
How did Liam respond?
Just sort of like sheer bemusement, like just what is he doing? This guy was probably in the 70s, comes over like, nice scarf. He actually sounded like a farmer. Nice scarf, that. Like sort of like budging into him. I was like, who's this guy? And then he's just sort of like staring into this 15-year-old kid's eyes, like as in, is it about to be a 70-year-old and a 15-year-old having a scrap? And it's just tiny things like seeing Liam's face just go like, what is this guy doing? Like, what have I done wrong? Max having coins thrown at him at Wolves away was pretty fun.
Pretty fun, yeah, and dangerous.
Oh,
did he get hit or did he jump out the way?
Oh, got hit the first time a couple of times. The thing is with Wolves is that the away fans are all along the length of the pitch of one side, and then the tier above is all Wolves fans.
Oh, that's not good.
It's not good, mate, and there's too many grounds that are like that.
Well, obviously they try and make it so the atmosphere for the away fans is horrendous.
Oh, it's horrible.
Like, I remember. I've seen many a story from when you went to Newcastle.
Newcastle,
on the highest row I've ever seen at a football stadium.
Okay, so it's the first row of away fans is probably 10 sets of stairs up, I'd say.
Which is crazy.
Crazy. But when you've just done an 8-hour trip from Brighton, you got off the coach and you're like, oh, right, into the ground we go. And then you've got, like, Ben Nevis to go up just to get to your fucking seat that you paid £35 for. And it's like, for fuck's sake. It literally is, like, I've never seen anything like it. You get off your coach, you want to stretch your legs, but you don't want to stretch your legs so far that you've now got to walk, a good 15-minute walk up some steps.
Yeah.
Newcastle's
Vitality is very good.
Newcastle's very weird, yeah. Actually, it's not big enough, mate. It's a shed. I'd say the best ones for me are actually, I really like the midweek ones. So like year 11, sort of A1 ones where it's like, right, finish college, run. For the other boys, it was run home, get changed. My house was too far, so it was run to the station, get there in time to change out of your sort of dirty clothes, and then get on the train and just go, or on a minibus, coach, whatever, go anywhere in the country. And it's like, it's just the best days, and it's the result obviously is crucial, but it's more about like
just the experience of it.
It's just the experience, and a lot of my favourite away days and favourite memories are just the ones where we got battered, or just sort of because we
you sort of just start taking the piss at that point. You kind of have
that's
it's
it.
more about having fun.
That's the thing. But that's the thing. The worse the result, the more fun there actually is on the way home after the first hour. Because the first hour is commonly me. Liam gets the most angry, I'd say, followed by me and Max, just because we've seen it so much.
Yeah.
Liam's dad, Seamus, who's a cult hero, is the most sort of calm. But even then,
I was surprised by that because I would have thought Seamus would be shouting left, right, and centre.
Well, he has to be calm because he's got to calm Liam and the rest of us down, and be relatively in charge.
Yeah, relative.
Do you know what it is? You have an hour of venting, and then quite often you think it's a Saturday. You're coming home to a party. That happens.
Oh,
That's happened quite a few times, and it's like your common goal is right. Fuck the football. Let's just get home and get pissed with our mates, and it's such a good day. Such a good day. I miss it.
Yeah, for me, annoyingly, like this season was the season I decided. Well, me and my dad decided we're going to try and make a big effort to go to more games. And it happens to be the shittest season we've ever played.
To be honest, I'm always impressed by how many you and your dad get to. Bearing in mind, Bournemouth is not a short drive, and then if you think you've got to get to, I mean, Chelsea's always a win for Bournemouth. So even getting to West London's an effort. I mean.
Watford took us like 2 and a bit hours to get to.
Mate, Watford is not. Fun fact: Watford was my first ever away game.
I thought it was London. That's a lie. Watford is not London.
No, Watford's not London, mate. It's really not. It's so
like you get on the train, you get into. I think we were going for like Clapham or something.
Yeah, Clapham. Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, so only be like 20, 30 minutes from here. Like another hour and a half. I was like, what?
Yeah, mate. Well, it's like still on the Northern Line, is it? No, I don't even know. But it technically counts, I think, as London, but it's really not.
Yeah.
It's like it is way north. But yeah, there's some, and that's the thing. My geography knowledge is dreadful, but football and going around the country has made it so much better.
You know teams from bloody like third tier Brazil, like you're like, you know the place because of the team. That's 100%,
mate. I'm a geographical genius now.
Yeah, that I never really thought about, but that's so true.
It's so true, mate. I said
you can ask a girl where's Buenos Aires, and they wouldn't have a clue. And then you'd be like, oh yeah, bloody.
Literally,
as soon as is it Boca or is it
do you know what, mate? I don't. I think it's Boca, but I'm not entirely sure. But mate, I mean,
or River Plate.
As soon as I hear Buenos Aires, I think Maradona, and I think
you think
Whereas
some people may just think.
Who said football fans are unintelligent? Most people, because it's probably true a lot of the time. But yeah, there are exceptions.
Well, my next question, Leo, I was going to ask. I was going to talk more about your humour in a case. Because
that's going to be cringe.
What I know is, I know you're quite a funny guy. I'll give you that quite funny.
This is like the best. I'm having my free kicks praised.
Yeah, this is what the podcast is.
My parental
me just licking
expertise. Do you know what? I'll come back every week. I've got an ego to feed.
Oh god.
Sorry.
So I was going to say, So you're a funny guy. I feel you've got idols, right? Especially comedy wise.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say
what you're saying, and you're absolutely right, is that I am massively I am a rip-off.
Yeah.
I would say that 80% of the times I'm trying to be funny, it's from something that I've seen, something I've watched.
Definitely in a good way, though. Definitely in a good way. I'll just take that now.
Oh, thank you.
For me, I see David Brent in you so much. With your humour, when you talk and stuff, it just comes out. Would you say
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Would you say you kind of these were your inspiration in comedy, or was it sort of like you just kind of modelled around it as it came in?
Well, I feel like because I watched The Office when I was really young, and then I watched it again when I was like 15, and I just found it hilarious. And the reason I found it hilarious is it's so applicable to just normal situations.
That's what I think British comedy is.
It's about basic relatable situations.
Yeah.
And how can you make them funny? Because I'm not being funny. And the thing that Gervais says that I think is really sort of I don't know. It's just very. It's just true. He says that the funniest bloke you know is never ex-comedian or ex, someone, whatever.
Yeah.
It's always just it's like your dad or your uncle or your mate from work or something.
Yeah.
Because it's like when they're being funny, it's real and it's not rehearsed, and it's about something that you can see or something you've experienced with them. And
so true.
I don't know, it makes you more involved, and that's what makes really comedy really good. Like, that's what makes people funny, is that it's situational comedy that you can relate to, and that's what I think is predominantly.
When did you first watch The Office?
Probably watched it for the first time when I was like 9 or 10, probably. I'd say it was probably, I sort of thought it was funny because it was a bloke being silly and all of that. I was quite how do I put this? I was, in terms of a developed sense of humour, I had quite a well-developed sense of humour by that point, but nowhere near well enough to sort of understand real sort of adult comedy. Just thought it was funny, and then I watched it again when I was like 15, 16, and I thought this is actually really good.
Yeah, because sometimes
because it's so simple, 100%, and I mean, I think Boys of Our Era in particular, there's sort of a few things that have influenced the basic comedy that is so rife in like the average group of boys. I think the most prominent is probably The In-Betweeners.
Yeah.
Just because of it. Again, it's like
they got it
relatable.
So right. I feel
they got it so right. They
Which
really
is
did.
Hard
it's
to do.
It's
you
relatable.
See a lot of shows on like teenagers and adolescents.
Oh, that are just
they
absolute
make no
dross,
sense.
mate.
But In-Betweeners, so many of that stuff has happened before. Like the fake ID. Yeah. I think everyone's experienced something like that.
Exactly. It's like there's no situation in there that's completely alien to anyone. Like, I mean, it doesn't have to, for me to find something funny, it doesn't have to be high budget. It doesn't have to be with a certain person. It can just be like something I can relate to, something I can see happening with my mates.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's something that I really do enjoy, is like picking apart different reasons behind, like, there's no doubt at all that when I'm trying to be funny, it's influenced by like 5 or 6 different people. And yeah, I don't mind that. It's just sort of, I feel like that's the same with everyone.
Do you think
I find the same?
The age of British comedy is over? So now, obviously, The Office has stopped quite a while ago, but also like that period had like Little Britain and stuff.
The Thick of It.
Yeah, Thick of It, great show.
Yeah.
In-Betweeners. But do you think now it's not as good, like the modern comedy of Britain? I haven't really seen any shows that are like cult classics. The only one I can think about is This Country.
This Country, yeah. I was just about to say This Country. I think the fact that Netflix is showing shows that are, it's showing both shows. It's showing shows from our childhood, and it's showing shows that have recently come out now, and that's most of the time what people will watch their TV on. Obviously, iPlayer, things like that. But I'd say that there's only a handful of shows where I thought, yeah, I really like that. I find that as funny, and I obsess about it in the same way that I did shows when I was younger. There's a handful, and it's, like you say, This Country. I found people just do nothing really funny. But then when I think about it, I think, what do those two shows have in common? They're both mockumentaries. They're both ridiculing the characters, and they're both characters. They both contain characters that you could imagine meeting in the real world. And both of those are heavily influenced by shows like The Office, The In-Betweeners, Alan Partridge, things like that. And like, I feel like it was such a successful period in comedy and TV and everything that it's going to influence almost everything in some way, which is interesting. I haven't been watching as much TV and film as I thought I would.
Same, actually. I thought I'd be watching.
Don't get me wrong, I watch something every evening, but I thought I'd be like spending days watching. Watching my series and everything, but I actually haven't, which is another thing I'm quite happy about, because it's meant I've done, other things, picked up other sort of hobbies and stuff, which is nice.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what is this Wembley you speak of?
Oh, Operation Wembley. Basically,
Wembley.
I'm looking out the window at it now.
Yeah.
My back garden for many years has been, well, for years it was just shit. It was rubbish. Just all scratched up and rubbish. And I actually really like being out there when it's nice. The top of the garden is really nice. 2 layers of decking, and it's got a cabin, and it's been properly looked after. The bottom half, which is the lawn, is arguably the worst ever. I would say that it is. Do you know like the last day of a festival?
Yeah, when the ground's just completely trod and it's basically
it's just been churned up and just ruined. Yeah, it looks like that. And when you're looking from the bottom of the garden, it just makes the whole place look rubbish. And I'm quite keen.
Got green fingers. You want to get in the garden?
Not really, not at all. But what I would say is that I quite enjoy having a proper task that's actually going to affect me. Do you know what I mean? It's like if I was doing this for someone else, I'm nowhere near kind enough to care about doing it. But because I'm doing it for myself, it obviously works. I'm motivated because I'm also massively selfish.
So what is the plan with it? What's the end goal?
The plan is, over the last week or so, me and my dad, you have to dig down to replace turf properly. Dig down about a foot all over, sift through every bit of dirt to get stones and weeds. This is so boring, but I'm gonna get rid of stones and weeds.
Riveting.
Exactly. I mean, the gardening community on YouTube might get behind this massively, so that's good. But no, you get rid of that. You get rid of all the shit. You need to. It's a long old job getting the whole garden dug up. Like, it's really tough. You're churning it up as much as possible. That gets put in a pile. Then once you strip that completely, you've just got your proper earth and soil. That then gets put completely relayed down. And then you get turf delivered, which is coming on Saturday, I think. And it's a case of basically relaying the entire lawn. And it is long, but it's going to mean that my garden's now nice. And I think that's quite important when you're stuck inside all day, or stuck in that house anyway. And my goal is to have, mine and my dad's, is to have a perfect garden for my mates to come around when this is all over and have a nice barbecue and whatnot. Which we've done before. We've had some really nice times.
The decking is really nice up top.
The decking's lovely, actually.
It's got one of my favourite memories of watching the World Cup.
Colombia, the World Cup, wasn't it? It was Colombia, yep. That was
unreal.
Emotional. Yeah, that was unreal. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing it for. I want to have more of those.
Yeah,
more of those days before I go away.
To experience with others. So it's sort of not selfish in a way. Obviously, you want it for you.
There is no doubt that it is self-motivated. It's self-indulgent, very much so. But it's also just kind of nice to do stuff that's. I think it's good sometimes to do a job, and my dad said this, and I'm quoting him. Good sometimes to do a job that you really hate and is really hard work, just so that you sort of appreciate the fact that you can actually work hard and you can just do stuff that's the least glamorous job in the world. And I think everyone should do a bit of a boring shit, laborious job every now and again.
Right, Leo, this next segment, would you say your office knowledge is pretty good?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good.
Okay. Well, for this round, I'm going to ask you quite a few questions.
Oh.
You're going to tell me, I'll say this again. Did Brent say it? So.
Did Brent say it? Okay, right.
Basically, I'll say a quote. It's either he said it or he didn't.
Or someone else said it.
Yeah, or someone else.
Yeah.
And if it is him, tell me what episode it's from, and you'll get an extra point.
Point. My god, no! Episodes I'm gonna be rubbish at.
Well, we'll start it off with the first question.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. First question. Who says famine has to be depressing? That
is Brent.
It is indeed. Well done.
That is Brent, and it's. Is it from?
If you say
Comic
which
Relief?
season?
Is it from the Comic Relief episode? And season 2.
It's season 2, yeah?
Episode 3.
Close, episode 5.
Fuck. All right.
Very
No,
good.
anyway, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Next question. Next question. Next quote.
Yes.
Biggest mentor is myself.
Biggest mentor is myself. That's Brent.
That isn't
That's
Brent.
gotta be-
It's not Brent. It's Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan Rodgers. I tell you what, Brendan Rodgers is arguably the best Brent impersonator that there is.
He's very.
I was thinking then. I was thinking then. Is that Brent from one of the films? Because I was like, that does sound like something he'd say in Life on the Road.
Yeah. I haven't actually watched Life on the Road.
Give it a watch, mate. Yeah, it's not amazing, but I do find it funny.
Yeah, it's probably it's one of those where it's like it doesn't live up to the series, but it's still like
no, but it's never going to. It's never going to. Comedy's changed anyway. Yeah.
Okay, next one. Are you ready?
I'm more than ready.
Can I ask you something? Who does your tampons?
Who does his tampons? That is Brent.
Yeah, but it is indeed.
And he's repping in the day. He is doing. He's a salesman for a toiletries company. That is series 2.
I'll give you a clue. It's a bit of a trick question for the episode one.
It's the Christmas special, isn't it?
Yeah, Christmas
special. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because Dawn's coming back and everything. Yeah.
Okay, next quote.
Right.
This is possibly well, I'll just say it and you'll get it.
Yeah.
How is Elaine? Has she left you yet?
She left you yet?
She has left him.
She has left him. Forgot about that. Yeah, that is.
This is more for like the episode. Which episode?
That's episode. Is that episode 1?
Yeah. Well done.
Season 1. Yeah, it is. Because he's showing off, isn't he?
Yeah. I laughed so hard when I said that.
Love that one.
Okay. Next one. Not really curable, is it? AIDS. Shame, really.
Does mention AIDS a lot. I don't think he says that though.
You are right. He does not say that.
No,
I got this one from South Park or something.
Yeah, that does sound about right. He mentions AIDS a lot. That's another thing. A lot of people get genuinely angry when there's jokes about that.
Yeah.
And it's the same. And Liam goes by this quite a lot. It's the same as Ricky Gervais. He says, joking about something as awful does not mean that it's as awful as the actual thing.
That's a good. Ricky's good with those quotes. He is actually a very intelligent person. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to watch something, Leo, I'd recommend watching his podcast with Russell Brand. It's quite a nice little listen.
Do you know what? I haven't seen that one, but it's right up my street, so I will give it a watch. Good.
Okay, next and final quote. No.
Right.
Okay, under weakness, you've put eczema.
That's the appraisals episode, and he's talking to Keith. What episode is that? I think it's episode 3.
Of which season?
Season 1.
It's actually season 2, episode 2.
Oh, is it? I'm way off, mate. Do you know what? I haven't watched The Office in probably a few months, which is a lot for me.
Saying that, you did pretty well. You got everyone bar one, which is pretty incredible.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Your knowledge.
I'm happy with that.
Is up to par.
I'm happy with that, mate.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Leo, this is it, I'm afraid. You've been an amazing guest. It's been very nice to talk to you.
Mate, it's been a pleasure. It's been quite a nice sort of break from shoving.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a little chat. I've quite enjoyed
it. It is, mate. Well, I'd be buzzing to come back on eventually if you'll have me.
100%. I'll have like a Christmas special.
Yeah, mate. Get us all on.
Get on all the old stars. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Leave a like, leave a comment. Oh yeah, and I still need a name, so put that below. Thank you, guys, and goodbye.